strictly than any WACS competition held globally, is now required, number one, to file an application process. Number two, to submit the judges' list for national teams, and I quote, national teams, 6 months prior to the competition to the Culinary Committee for final review. Now, does that mean we want to dictate to them? No. What that simply means, based on all of your input, and we'll have some of that a little bit later, that are basically very concerned in terms of how do we select the judges? Why do we have a culinary committee, a judges list, if nobody wants to follow it? Point well taken. We've taken action, and starting in 2009, any continental, international, or global competition must submit their judges list 6 months prior to the Culinary Committee. Now that relates to national teams only. If they fail to do so, the registration process, the application fee, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, the brand that's behind us will be removed. Now that might sound strong, tough, and hard, and maybe something that I've developed, or the board's developed, or the Culinary Committee. No, it's something that you all, Majority Rules, has developed. So I think that's a major, major change. The areas of the judges, and you'll see that in just a little bit. I'm going to go through that. We have developed a judges criteria that now requires the application, the documentation on the application, the supporting proof. Then the application is turned in to the Continental Directors. Once again, input from everybody is very, very important. For verification of the information, once it is completed and satisfied, the President of that country will issue a letter of support. It then goes on to the Culinary Committee for final approval. The requirement for that also requires a participant to require to attend the judges' seminar. Now, you've heard some speeches on the judges' seminars. It's been taught in various different countries. There are a lot of seminars out there. There's only one that's been approved by the World Association of Chef Societies, Culinary Committee, ultimately you. And for those that are teaching seminars, I would respectfully request that you ask for a copy of the current seminar that we have. As we go along, we have a commitment, again, by all Continental Directors and folks running for the Presidium, that we are going to host a WACS seminar, judges seminar, in each and every one of the continental meetings that they have. So it makes it more accessible for those folks that require judges certification. In addition to that, we have changed the criteria in terms of different levels of competitions. We now have continental competitions. It will give those countries that don't have the financial means to produce a big international show to host a small competition, whether it's the Gourmet Challenge, edible competition, a cold food competition, specialty categories, etc., an opportunity to host a show, and then work themselves into an international level. And then ultimately, we have a new category which is called the global competition. There are only 2 competitions currently in the world that have that approval. That is the Global Chef's Challenge, which will be going on here tomorrow. And I hope all of you will take some time to take a look at that, which is a major initiative. And by the way, that is the first competition of its kind that you own. You, the members, own. You all control everything that goes on in that room. So congratulations to all of you. And ultimately, the Culinary Olympics, which is held in Erfurt, Germany, is known, recognized, and approved as a global competition. Now, no discredit to any current international show that we have. This was just something that was developed that can be utilized as a training vehicle in addition to separating these different competitions. The judges that require some additional educational requirements can go through the different levels, and as they go through them, ultimately work themselves into the certification process of an international judge. We have developed various different initiatives, such as the The judges seminar, as I mentioned, we have taught 3 of them already by the Culinary Committee. We have done a very, very successful, for the first time, pastry seminar, which was held in Switzerland, and I want to thank the Swiss chefs for their not only financial support, but also commitment to the Culinary Committee with Mr. George Knecht, and then also Robert Obernader, the German representative that sits on for the International Pastry Chefs, for doing an outstanding job. And as a result of that, they made a financial contribution. Yes, that's right, a financial contribution to be earmarked to the Culinary Committee. As we take a look at the Culinary Committee, we spent some money. Some say it was too much. Some may even say that the Culinary Committee is too big, but that's for the next presidium to decide whether they want to, shorten it down or what have you. But I'm here to tell you, the Culinary Committee was not, and I repeat, was not funded 100% by the presidium. It was partially funded, airfare. The host countries that hosted us provided hotel accommodations, food and beverage, etc. In order to have progress, change that has an impact on a global level, money has to be spent. We're no longer a small organization that can operate out of a shoebox. We made a commitment to you, and our goal, based on what we have developed, that over the next 4 years, the Culinary Committee should be able to fund itself. And that's a major accomplishment. I want to thank the Presidium and the Board for their kind of financial commitment they made to this committee, because as you can tell, as you all stood up, it's a very important committee, and I think it provides a lot of benefit. The continental competitions in Latin America, unbelievable. We have approved 5 competitions over the next 2.5 years on the global level. Again, it was developed to provide an educational training vehicle for judges in those countries that are less fortunate in terms of finances. I would say to you, the mission that was set before us by all of you has been accomplished because of all of your input, all of your involvement, and obviously all of your dedication. Now, the Culinary Committee, in my opinion, is probably one of the most visible committees. And sometimes when you stand up, for example, I'm standing up here right now, you're like a big target, if you will. No matter what you do, how you do it, criticism doesn't end. People tend to look at the negatives as opposed to the positives. Every member of this committee acted, developed projects, proudly presented them to the board on your behalf. These guidelines should represent the majority, not the minority. These guidelines should not be exclusive, they should be inclusive. We have developed, as I told you, the judges' application process. We went from 70 judges to 160 judges, increase over 4 years. Now, some of you may say, wow, they let anybody in there. No, what we have done, we've developed a new process that, number one, take the world standings that we used to have in effect. They were utilized for 2 things. Number one, to be able to obtain sponsorships from various different corporate entities based on their world standings. Obviously, the better the world standing, the more money you've gotten. Secondly, it allowed you a number of judges that you could have on the list for 4 years, okay? Based on a letter that was done by the president of that country. Now, is that right? Is that wrong? I think it was the best thing that we've done at the time. Times change, things change, requirements change. Now we have a process in place that has a minimum standard set by each and every one of you. That standard will be enforced by the Culinary Committee. We developed a process that now has a standard. No matter which country applies for the certification of a judge, as long as he or she meet that criteria, they will be eligible to be placed on the judges list. That is the reason for that major impact and influx of judges.